The ancient city of Palmyra is located in the desert of central Syria and is known in Arabic as Tadmor. While originally settled millennia earlier, the city reached its height during the Roman period, particularly the 2nd and 3rd centuries. It was a wealthy and prosperous city, thriving from its position on trade caravan routes as a center of commerce. Although under Roman rule through much of this period, Palmyra often asserted its independence and maintained its own cultural, religious, and artistic traditions. Evidence of this has been preserved over time through Palmyra's monumental architecture and sculpture. The remains of the ancient city were rediscovered by Western researchers beginning in the late 17th century, first by an expedition of British merchants who were based in the Syrian city of Aleppo. The architect Louis-François Casas traveled to Palmyra in 1784 and extensively documented the remains of the city's monuments through hundreds of drawings over a 3-year period. These sketches detailed the site's temples, colonnaded streets, arches, theater, baths, tombs, and much more. Later travelers and researchers provided further documentation of the city, with the earliest photographs taken by Louis Vignier, a French naval officer and photographer, in 1864. The focus of this video is Palmyra's tombs, as they arguably provide the greatest insight into ancient Palmyrene culture. A monumental tomb near the center of the city, referred to as the Funerary Temple, is believed to date to the late 2nd or early 3rd century. Being the only tomb to have been discovered within the ancient city walls, it may have been connected to a royal family. Most of Palmyra's funerary monuments are located south of the city, in an area popularly referred to as the Valley of the Tombs. Over 150 tombs have been discovered in and around Palmyra. Each of these tombs was constructed not for a specific individual, but to house the remains of an entire extended family or clan. The tombs often reflected the wealth and prominence of that family within Palmyrene society. Some tombs were of fairly modest size and simple design, while others were large and elaborate, featuring detailed relief sculpture and inscriptions. These inscriptions were often in both Aramaic and Greek, reflective of the city's cultural diversity. The earliest of these tombs were constructed as towers, often featuring several floors of burial chambers. The largest tower tombs contained burial vaults for the remains of as many as 400 members of a single family across several generations. Tower tombs were unique to the region, finding no parallels in the funerary architecture of the Western Roman Empire. They remain the most popular architectural style for tombs in Palmyra through the 1st century, but the last known tower tomb was dated to the year 128. In the 2nd and 3rd centuries, underground tombs, or hypogeum, became favored. These typically consisted of a modest doorway that led into a large underground chamber carved from bedrock. Casas devoted much of his work to detailing the architectural design of the tower tombs, including their statuary, relief sculpture, and inscriptions. The exteriors of the tombs were typically modest, displaying an inscription noting the family's heritage. Some featured relief sculpture of prominent family members, but use of such decoration was often restrained. The interiors were much more elaborately decorated. Each burial vault within the tomb was enclosed by a stone-carved funerary portrait of the individual contained within. 3,000 of these sculptures, carved in limestone, are held in museums throughout the world today. Only the city of Rome has provided us with a larger collection of funerary art from the same period. While similar to the naturalistic traditions of Greek and Roman sculpture, Palmyra's funerary reliefs nonetheless demonstrated their unique cultural traditions and customs. The garments worn by Palmyrene citizens are featured in these sculptures, and the style is unique to the common clothing of Rome at the time. Palmyrene dress was more closely related to their neighbors in the east, such as the Parthians. Palmyrene women are often depicted wearing elaborate jewelry, also in a distinctive style. These sculptures typically feature more pronounced and stylized eyebrows and less symmetrical facial features than their Roman counterparts. Some sculptures featured the deceased holding an item associated with the trade or craft they practiced in life. Larger sculptures would sometimes depict a funeral banquet, a style of sculpture more common to Rome and likely adopted by local craftsmen. While they appear as bare carved stone today, these funerary reliefs were originally brightly painted, and the eyes would sometimes feature inlaid stone. This funerary art conveys much about the individuals that populated Palmyra, including their wealth, social status, role in the community, and relationships to one another. It also demonstrates the multilingual and multicultural nature of the ancient city, and the distinctive art, fashions, and traditions that developed from it. Tragically, much of the ancient city of Palmyra has been destroyed since armed conflict broke out in Syria in 2011. Many of the monuments depicted in this video were deliberately demolished by extremist militants in 2015, including at least 7 of the previously best preserved tower tombs. Tombs have also been illegally excavated, resulting in the looting of funerary relief sculpture.